Okay, I'm going to call this public hearing and regular meeting Thursday, July 15th, 2021 at 7 o'clock p.m. To order. Roll call. Bruce Edgerton, like I said, is not here. Jonathan Kastner? See that he's
Roger.
here. Thank you. Tony, actually. Alan Parody? Alan? Yay, nay?
Here, sorry, I was having trouble unmuting.
No worries. Stan Reinheimer? Stan?
Here, good evening.
How's it going? And Marion Stay. Thought I saw everybody. Uh-oh. She was in here.
I did see Marion earlier.
There's too many people.
Is telling Facebook what is problematic.
All right, well, I'm going to move on for the moment and see if she signs back in because I think she jumped out of here. So anyway, I'm going to seat Stan Reinheimer in the vacant seat and we'll be moving on. Receipt of applications, item 3 on the agenda. Are the special permit for application for activities in ag tourism, section 7B31, 574 Winthrop Road. Applicant Spruce Ledge Enterprises, LLC. There's someone here for that. Anyone?
Hi, I am here. I can't seem to get my face onto the screen for some reason, but that's okay. You don't need to see me. Doesn't matter.
So, just looking over your application and everything. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So last year at the beginning of the season, of the summer season, we offered kind of loosely on Facebook, on our Facebook page, to offer up some of our space on our farm for local musicians who had been stagnating because of COVID. If they wanted to come and play music, they could put out a hat and collect tips, and we weren't going to charge anything. We were just going to let folks from town come and kind of enjoy. It's spacious enough where they could spread out and be COVID safe. And so we started doing that. And basically that's how it came about. There's no money exchanged. We don't charge anything for people to come.
Okay.
We don't serve anything.
It's still pretty new.
It is very new. It started last year during COVID, and the musicians wanted to continue it again this season. So we just started away. I didn't realize that I needed a permit for that because we're not making any money. It's not a formal thing. It was just like some musicians coming and folks stopping by. So I was informed that I needed a permit, and I went ahead with the permitting process. But I was told by Mark, I think, at the zoning that I should apply for a waiver in the fees.
Yep.
I wrote a letter and applied for that, and I couldn't attend the last meeting. Unfortunately, my husband is pretty ill, and he had some treatments, and we just couldn't attend. So I told them to pull it off of your agenda, but I don't know, somehow, I don't know whether it got back on the agenda or what happened, but I was informed that you guys had basically vetoed the idea that I could request a waiver in the fee. My reason for the waiver in the fee is because we don't make any money on doing this. We're just doing this for the community. We pay for the electricity. We pay for the porta potty. We basically take the liability, and we're doing it just because we think it's a nice thing to do during a time that's been very difficult for everybody. And that's our motivation. And if you're going to charge us to do it, then we won't do it anymore. And we've had so much feedback from people in town, musicians, people that want us to continue, that I'm sitting here in front of you asking for a waiver in the fee. Because, you know, for us to come out of pocket any more than we already do for something that we make no money on whatsoever is kind of ludicrous. So that's my position on it.
Okay, quickly, I'm gonna jump back because I see Marion did get on, so I'm gonna seat her for Krista Rocha. Sorry about
The
that.
problem is that we do.
Anyway,
What? I'm here, but it's hard to hear. Something's wrong with the computer, I think.
okay, well, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right,
It's
well,
just-
you're seated for Krista Rocha.
Okay.
All right, so anyway, back to the item at hand here. So just quickly,
Yes.
I just, the reason for the fee waiver is, by doing that, it would start a precedence for anyone who came in for activities to
Well, I'm sorry.
say, you know what, you've done it before, why even have a fee? And unfortunately, these fees pay, you know, for what we do in town, the permitting, the regulations, the applications. You know, John and Mike to review this stuff. Unfortunately, that's part of the process.
You're okay?
You know, that's my stance on it. I'd love to hear from the rest of the commission. Anybody?
Tony, I would concur. I think that if the the town is interested in this, the town itself could find the application fee, but I don't think it's the commission's purview to waive fees for applications. I concur that it's establishes a precedent that we have no metric by which to determine which applicants we should waive the fee on, and who should pay.
Great. Anybody else?
I'm going to say something
Yep.
because I'm not even sure if the commission can actually waive a fee at all. I'm wondering if the Board of Selectmen may be the appropriate body to do that. You know, and it's kind of my question also, but I don't know if we have the legal authority to do that. Legal is probably the wrong word, but whatever the authority is.
Right. If I remember correctly, the fee schedule is set in an ordinance. Now that you brought that up. So that's a good question.
That's where Jonathan probably
Yeah.
knows.
So if I can jump in,
Yeah.
we do have, so the town does have an ordinance which establishes fees, but I'm reading it quickly, and it delegates the authority to establish fees to the respective commissions.
Okay.
Mike, could you clarify that? It says it delegates the authority of the commission to establish fees?
Yeah, so it says that basically PZC, ZBA, and Conservation and Inland Wetlands are each authorized to establish a schedule of fees for the processing of various land use applications, and are exercising the authority granted herein in determining its schedule of fees. Each commission may consider a bunch of things, including cost of mailings, cost of publication of notices, decisions, consulting fees, monitoring of compliance, for permit conditions, etc.
So it allows us to establish fees, but it's silent on waiving fees.
Correct. Yes, there is no process that outlines for how to obtain a waiver.
Okay.
okay. May I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand how these committees work, these commissions work that are town, you know, I get it. That makes sense to me with where you're kind of coming up with a bit of a conundrum. So at this point, maybe I should request that you consider a reduced fee on the charges for applying for an application. Would that be appropriate? based on the fact that we are taking no money and we are trying to provide something nice for the town. And it's costing us out of pocket already. We have a porta potty in place because we think people should have one. We don't sell anything here during this time. We don't have beverages or food or anything like that. There's no concessions. The only ones that really collect anything, the bands put out a hat. And if people want to tip them, they can. They don't have to. So based on those things, we comply with your 10 p.m. Closing off. We've been doing this all along. I didn't know I needed a permit, actually. We just kind of looked into what your requirements were in town, and we sort of just followed along with that. So we're following all of your criteria already. We would like to be able to continue doing the music here. But again, can I request maybe a consideration in a reduced price at least?
Okay. Guys? I mean, I'm in the same position as before. The fee's the fee for everybody who's done it before.
Have people done it for free before?
I mean, I haven't been on this commission long enough to tell you. John?
I bet you no.
Hi, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I don't recall this ever coming up. So we have no, that I can think of, historical guidelines.
Okay.
Maybe the commission can make its feelings known and refer to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance.
Okay. I mean, okay. It's up to you guys. I mean, I'm pretty solid where I'm at. So, anybody else have a feeling on this?
I agree with you, Tony, that, I mean, I'm very hesitant to be in a position of deciding to waive a fee for one applicant and potentially not for another. We don't have a metric to make this determination. It can go to the selectmen if they determine that it's in the town's interest and a town-sponsored thing, that then the town can handle the fee. There's nothing that precludes the applicant from raising money to pay the fee. If there is a demand for this, then just as there is donations for the bands, then the folks that are potentially coming to the event can pay the costs so the applicant doesn't incur these costs. It's just a bit of a catch-22 for the commission to me making that type of financial determination on an application.
So just, I mean, I don't want to get hung up on just this one issue because there was something else I wanted to point out in the regulations that I don't see on your application the number of actual events that you're looking to do.
Well, I don't know. At this point, I'm doing none.
How many have you done so far?
Last year I did about 12, I think, all through. We started like in June and we ended in October. I think there were about 12. It wasn't every weekend or every day of every weekend. It was kind of random based on when the bands wanted to do it, when they were available. It was always on a Friday or Saturday night. And we would like to keep that rhythm, but as of right now, I've pulled the plug on it because I don't want to be in violation or doing something to upset the town. We were doing it for you guys, in general, you guys and everybody else. And we certainly don't want to make people mad. So, it was a goodwill gesture. And if it doesn't work that way, then we made a mistake in thinking that it would.
Right. I mean, if you didn't know, and now we're here, that means there are complaints that have happened. We don't just go searching people out. A complaint comes in and then we deal with it. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out to you also that in the regulations, the number of events are actually limited to 8.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean,
we're here. Let's talk about some of these,
Yeah.
some of the issues. So, I mean, if this did happen, you're still only limited to 8 events. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up was on your site plan. You have this overflow parking.
Yeah.
And that's gonna require the Department of Transportation to approve that.
Yeah, we never
That's-
use it. I mean, can I just interject and say that I was very generous in saying that we get 100. We've never really had 100 people. I'm sure that we could, as far as my music field goes, we could handle that. But it's usually about 30 people, you know, maybe 40. It's never really been over that
Okay.
so far, you know?
Gotcha.
So we've never really used that. We have it, but between the area that we have that's really parking area by our house and what's in front of the barn, we've pretty much accommodated, you know?
So I guess we're stuck at a pass because we're accepting it. We're trying to accept your application, but there's no fee associated with it.
Well, how much
is
is the
required.
fee? Because I've gotten 2 or 3 different comments about how much it even is. So,
Wherever Mike happens to be, I think he has that number. I off the top of my head, I think it's $310.
we've got 20, we've gotten 3, and then we've gotten something like 385.
See, there you go. That's a number. I knew it was 3 something. 385 sounds about right.
You
But
know,
you
so
have to verify that with John.
I've gotten like all these different numbers. That's why just don't know where to go with it.
Okay. I mean, let's see.
So can we at least continue with some informal discussion on the application, just so we have an understanding of it? I think hopefully the fee issue can get resolved by either potential patrons pitching in or the selectmen making a determination. But let's at least have some discussion in regard to the application itself. Tony brought up the point, and it does initially limit you to 8 events. But in the regulations, it does say upon renewal of your permit, you can make an argument to increase the number of events. So the initial year is kind of a test year to make a determination as to whether it's impacting adjacent properties. So, I would say that's part of the process.
I can't do as I'm on the call now, but Fame wants to know, he says, what are
Oh, thank you for that. I do have one question in regard to the site plan. It shows parcel A and parcel B. So is this activity to be permitted across both of these parcels? So is this?
I guess, I'm not sure where A and B is. Like, I don't really.
So as I understand it, there's like if you look at the inset drawing, Tony, can you scroll up?
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Partial
there's
A.
a-
No, it's in partial A. The whole thing is
Yeah, it's just parcel A. The other one,
parcel A
I know the address.
in the back. Yeah. Yeah. It's in the front. Yeah.
Okay.
It's right in the front. That we use. And then the parking is in between the barn and big lot that we cleared that would be like overflow, but we're not really using, nobody's ever
Yeah.
really parked there. You know, we don't have enough. I mean, it's only just community. It's not like this big, it's not Woodstock, you know?
Right. So one approach to this also is it might be limiting the capacity. If you're indicating that you're expecting potentially 100 people to participate in an event, there might be an expectation of, a capacity of 50 cars or, parking for 30 cars or something along those lines. Can't really, I assume an event like this, people would carpool too.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
But if you were to
Families
say that
go.
the occupancy at any given event would be limited to, 30 or 40 or 50, then it might ease up the scrutiny on the site plan in regard to available parking, et cetera. And it may be a means by which to initiate, the formal processes, permitting, and limit the size and limit the frequency initially. Because one of our concerns here is that in the granting of this permit, it establishes a precedent that any similar property in a similar context could be doing the same events. It's, we're not saying that, okay, this is a special consideration for you. It'd be a consideration for any potential applicant. So it's really where, a lot of this discussion is coming from. So we're trying to stay within the literal parameters of the regulations. And while we do that, we try to anticipate what would happen if, all of the farms in town were doing similar events. So I just wanted to put that out there to
Yep.
temper this conversation.
Thank you.
I think what you're doing is serving a great purpose, and obviously there's a demand for it. So I think my recommendation would be to try to put some parameters on a frequency and size of the events, especially initially, and then you will also get feedback from the neighboring properties and see what other interest there is in town and in similar.
So just quickly, I mean, with all this being said, is this something we want to move forward with? Because we're just accepting this application for, public hearing next month. But if just, fee wise, I'm assuming from the conversation, we're not going to waive the fee. You're going to talk to John or Mike, get the correct fee. And if you're all right with, 8 or less events coming forward, then we should, make a motion to accept this and put it on the docket for next month.
Are you asking me? I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm rambling away to the commission.
That's okay.
Yep.
I'm good with it, just saying.
Is Tony, if we accept the application on the, with condition that the fees be rectified, is there also opportunity to modify the application again to determine or stipulate the number of events and
Yeah, it's going to a
capacity,
public
et
hearing.
cetera, so that we can fine tune it a little bit is all I'm suggesting.
Yeah, it's got to go to a public hearing. So I mean, she's got a good feeling for where we're at.
Mhm.
So we can always give her more input at the next hearing. So, but if you guys are open to that, if she's fine with the fees, need a motion to accept and set the public hearing for July, if I never have the date.
Mike, are we
Tony,
allowed to accept this application with those open issues? Just procedurally, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that you've established that you have some questions and some need for additional information, which she can present during the hearing.
Yep.
And I think that, the only thing that we perhaps maybe want to establish is that you guys have decided at this point not to waive the fee. The purpose of the fee is to pay for the legal notice to advertise the public hearing. So we get the fee rectified and we can schedule the public hearing, so that all that can happen. So I think there's no reason for doing that. But if we get closer to the hearing and we don't have the fee, we won't run the legal notice.
When does the fee need to be to you guys? That's probably a good question for me.
So the next meeting, I would imagine, is about 4 weeks out.
It's the
I don't have
19th
it.
of August.
What was it?
19th of August.
So we would need to have it certainly by the end of this month so that we could schedule out the required legal notices.
And that would be delivered to the tax office, the zoning office?
Yep, you can drop it off or mail it in. And to confirm, it's $310. That includes, there's a state fee, which we're obligated to take some of that money and pass on to the state, regardless if we waive the fee. So that includes that as well.
Okay, 310.
Correct.
All right.
Tony, I would make a motion to accept the application for the special permit for 574 Winthrop Road.
Tony, I got one question first.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the overflow parking and stuff, it's obviously a separate entrance. So if that would have to be bonded, is this going to be an approval? We're after going to approve the site plan?
We'd have
Well,
to,
we're not even using that. I mean, we've never used that. We could, I suppose, use it if we got so big, but if we're minimizing the amount of people that come, we'll never need to use it. So it's sort of like it's sort of a moot subject if we're gonna limit the amount of people that come, we'll never need that. So it's sort of like, it's not even worth discussing.
so, quickly, I mean, you are gonna have to rectify that if it's gonna remain on the site plan, because the site plan is what we approve.
Okay,
And if
so
you
I
have
can
no-
draw it again.
Yeah, if you have an opening to the street like that, that requires a Department of Transportation approval, like I was saying.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's just it's a place where we were bringing wood chips in. We're actually trying to wood chip the field because of our Christmas trees.
Gotcha.
So, it's basically just wood chips there. We've been clearing it. It was all bramble bushes. And we've just been working on clearing it, and it's flat. So, in theory, yes, you could park there if you wanted, but if it's an issue, and if we're going to be limited again with the amount of people that we have, it'll never be used for that anyway. So,
Right. Yeah, I might make the recommendation, you start with a limited capacity, start small,
Yep.
and if you expand, then, and
we'll
need
deal
that.
with that.
and
Yeah,
you deal
I
with
like
that's
that.
another issue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a really good, I like that. I like the idea of it because, we were struggling a little bit with how many people is too many and, what are we doing here? And, we haven't really gotten to that point yet, but, we looked down the road at it. And this is a nice way to sort of grow slowly if we grow at all. We may just stay just like we are.
Okay.
So I appreciated that suggestion.
So quickly, Alan, you made a motion to accept and set a public hearing for the 19th? Just going back.
That is correct.
Yes, I'll second.
Does that stand second?
I will second that, yes.
Okay. Jonathan?
Aye.
Marion?
Aye.
That's it. All right. So we'll see you next month.
All right, I thank you so much for hearing me. I'm going to try to exit your meeting. I'm not sure how. Whoever is running the Zoom, can you just shut me off?
I can kick you out. You're all done.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And, I think we're going to resolve this, and thank you. We're
Have a good
very
night.
grateful.
Thank you.
All right,
Take care.
come and see music.
All right. I kicked her out. Moving on. Gonna open the public hearing at 7:28. First item on the agenda is zoning text amendment application, self-storage facilities in the Turnpike Industrial District. Applicant 448 through 500 Main LLC, and this is continued from June.
How are you, everybody? I'm Valerie Votto. I am here again for the applicant. And I fear that we have a problem because Peter Lewis was supposed to be joining us, and his last words to me yesterday were, I will see you at the meeting tomorrow. I think he was hoping it would be hybrid like it was last month, and I don't see him on the call. So does anybody see him on?
I didn't see him in here.
Okay. Well, I'm here for, let's just talk about the text amendments that you asked us to do, we agreed to do, and then with a little hope Peter will come on because you did ask us to, in fact, interface with his commission. So the text amendments that you asked us to address, and we have agreed to do so, and was to remove any reference to outside storage, was to remove any reference to the distance between facilities we had as no facility shall be located so that its entrance is within 2,500 feet of any such facility. We removed that. And then when we got to the exception, you asked us to amend that language to allow for special exceptions to only to be granted by your body in your discretion. And so I did make that amendment. In addition to those amendments, you did ask us to please interact with the Economic Development Commission, or at the very least, Mr. Lewis, to see if we could get some support from that group regarding the need for a facility of this nature in the town of Deep River. At your request, we did have a meeting with Mr. Lewis. We provided him with information that we have received from individuals who were asking for this type of facility in town. We also had a very good meeting with him about how these applicants have really enhanced this industrial park since the time they bought it, and that their intention is to do something in keeping with what they have done, and to be very cognizant of screening and sight and sound and all the things I said to you at the last meeting. Peter had indicated to me, and I can't speak for him. I mean, I spoke with him yesterday. It indicated to me that he was going to be meeting at town hall to speak in favor of this. My sense is if he went to town hall right now, those doors are locked. And the only reason why I know is because I went to town hall a little while ago, thinking if he was going to be at the meeting, I would be in person with him, and those doors were locked. So again, all the text amendments you requested, we have, gladly said we will remove the language. This meeting was really to be, getting some information from Peter and that commission and how they felt about this being here. So again, I can only recount what I said in a conversation with him yesterday. And at this point, I mean, I can't speak for him, it would be hearsay, and it's best of terms. So
can I ask, was there a revised proposed language?
I did not send it in with the thought that I was going to be at a hybrid meeting.
Understood. 'Cause the materials that were presented to us, it's the same language.
It's the same thing, but I can, with the materials up, if you want to, if we want to go through them as they are, we removed, I can go by letter, which ones were removed. Of course, I just moved those papers, so we'll have to hold on 1 second. But I can look for the old text. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, while we're going, I mean, I caught you the first time when you went through these, but I did want to add a little something. I've had some time to think about this, and I'd like to offer up, like, I wouldn't want self-storage to take over all of our industrial area if this is something we do. And I'd like to look at, or have, John and Mike look at cutting that down to a percentage of industrial area. So, it couldn't be 100, our industrial area couldn't be 100% self-storage. I mean, it's not going to work for industrial area. It's not going to work for the town. So maybe limiting to a number of properties or percentage. That's one thing that I wanted to throw out. And the second was, I didn't see it in here. I know we talked about landscaping, but I think an actual landscaping plan should be a requirement, especially if it fronts on, one of our main roads.
Okay, and we have, as we had indicated, we have every intention of doing a landscaping plan, but we just needed to know whether we needed to do a plan. I actually, in my possession, have something that, was something we provided to Mr. Lewis, what it may look like, but I mean, again, at this point, it's all pie in the sky. It's not anything. One of the reasons why we had originally included that 2,500 foot language in there was to address a concern just like you just had, not to be able to have the whole industrial zone become a self-storage facility or have the potential to be a self-storage facility.
Gotcha.
Again, we are very open to any, we're the Seminole people. So we're very open to, any language that you may think is sufficient to address the concern that you don't want your entire industrial zone to become self-storage. That was also why we had, and that's why we had also included that additional language that you required. It's the very last thing. You required us to say it was at your discretion that certain buildings that were built prior to 2010 and had been used in an industrial area could have the potential to be converted for self-storage. I mean, if you would like to limit, that's a good way to is to remove that language also.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't think we have any issue with that. So again, I defer to all of you.
So one of the questions that was asked last time is whether this was being proposed as a special permit application or a site plan application. It sounds like, the best approach for this would be as a special permit. So again, that was one thing that we wanted to clarify at the last, without seeing a new language. You know, we may want to clarify which specific items we're going to strike, and maybe Tony, I don't know if you can mark this up as we go.
We struck I, which is no facility shall be located so that its entrance is within 2,500 feet of any other such facility. We struck I. We struck E, which was outside storage will be allowed for vehicles only. Now with respect, I mean, I came up with text for this with respect to how you would like to utilize this text and what you feel is the best vehicle for it, special exception, etc. I'm going to defer to all of you. It is, you know, and we can do it that way. If you have specific language you would like me to include, I will be more than happy to do so. I mean, this is, again, this is the seminal thing. We are coming up with language. It's not a project following language. It's going to be, you know, language, and then there will be a project.
I mean, I agree keeping the, you know, the distance between facilities is one way. I also like to see a percentage added, but that's.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. We removed the language with respect to the distance for the facilities. It was just our way of kind of thinking the same way. You just didn't want the whole thing to become self-storage.
Right.
And we had already agreed to take that out because someone did say that they didn't like that. If you would like to say a certain percentage, now, you're saying a certain percentage of any existing industrial park, or are you saying a certain percentage in the zone?
I would think, oh, that's a good question. In the park itself or in the, see, again, because we can't deal with yours, just one site. We're dealing with all the.
Right. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so it would have to be a percentage of the industrial zone. I personally would like to start small, but that's, I mean, I'm looking for some commission help here. Anybody else have a feeling on this? Just me, huh?
I think it warrants some further review. I tend to be a little bit hesitant to prescribe amounts within a zone of what's permitted. It is close to being, to me, spot zoning. It's setting limits. It's not establishing a use as of right, which means there's some concerns about that use. So I think we need to get to, for me, I need to get to a point where, is it allowed? And then you let market dictate how much of that is in demand, especially when it's a industrial type use. If we don't have other uses that are, stepping up and filling that zone, I mean, this is a major component of our economy, the industrial zones. If this is what there's demand for, what is the metric to establish those limits on how much is too much? It's like saying in a commercial district, how many restaurants are we going to allow? It's a market-driven parameter. So I'm not opposed to it. I understand that that you can get some saturation, and saturation can be detrimental to other businesses. I'm just not certain how we would establish those quantities by a percentage or a number of businesses, et cetera. So I absolutely think it's worth studying. It just, I don't have enough information to go on as to how we establish that. So
go ahead.
Tony, I think Alan's comments on, doing percentages.
Mm-hmm.
We just opened our third ice cream shop on Main Street. Somebody said in another context the other night, oh, sure, the town, now you got 3 ice cream places on Main Street. That's not something that we say.
Okay,
It's what, and I agree with the same on this. I don't think you can do that.
okay. Well, so I guess I was looking up something in the regulations. Is this gonna be a special permit?
I defer to all of you
Okay, I didn't know if it was in there.
on that. I got the strong sense that that would be how you would like this approached the last time,
Okay.
but I never got clear direction. So I'm deferring to everyone here.
I'm fine with it. I'd love a special permit.
Tony, I'd be in favor of moving this forward as a special permit. It does allow us to look at, with a special permit, the context and the ability of a site and, to support the given use. So it would allow us to consider the effects of a saturation of a use within the zone. It's also a good way to introduce a new use into a zone, I think, without, instead of jumping right in and saying that it is allowed as of right. It allows additional public discussion and discovery as to what the implications are that we may not know yet. So it does allow some discretion. It allows some public input, and it would allow us to, test the waters in order to, grow this use within the zone. So I would say that that's the correct format to begin to introduce this, introduce that use to the.
And under the stricken from this, because we don't have the current one, is the outside storage of motor vehicles
Removed. That was removed.
Yeah.
You had indicated that you had issue with that, so. We're not trying to make this harder. We're trying to make this easier. I mean, we're trying to focus on what our intent is.
Okay. Anybody else from the commission? Have anything?
I kind of agree with Alan, what he said. I mean,
Okay.
limit.
All right.
I was going to say, I also agree. But I'd really like to see all of the proposed language before we actually vote. I don't know if that's possible to continue. I don't know what the time frame is for continuing the public hearing.
We have
Well,
one.
Again, I'm going to have to work with Tony. Tony, I'm going to have to work with you for what you would think would be the special permit language you wanted. Again, I just came up with text.
I mean, we'll just use our standard special permit application. Then it would. So anytime somebody would do, self-storage, they would have a public hearing, and then the public can come in and go, "Oh my God, not another one!" Or, "God, we need more." One of those things.
So you want me to just copy text from existing?
Yeah. So it would just be a special by special permit. So are we continuing? I'm looking for a motion.
I mean, again, we were hoping for Peter to be here. One of the things you asked us to do was to, to include and incorporate and have him speak to what his commission decided is a special need. We had a meeting with him in particular, and then we provided materials to him for distribution amongst his people. And as I said, I spoke with him yesterday, and he said, "I'll see you tomorrow night." And we were under the impression there might be a hybrid meeting, and
Right.
Yeah. All right. So
Tony, this was
in
a
conversation, we
continuation
thought there
of the
would be.
public hearing.
yes.
Um,
We're going to continue.
And
more time.
so we should actually reach out to the public and solicit any additional comments.
Yep.
But if we've had the two meetings, it seems like we've had a response to our comments and some draft language. I mean, I think between now and the next meeting where we would be
Right.
acting on it, we would have the language in place. I mean,
the language can be, I'm sorry, Alan, I didn't mean to speak over you, but the language can be
Somebody
amended.
should cut me off.
No, that's not my intention. I think the language can be amended rather quickly. I mean, again, and I will work with Tony to get that done, but that's fine.
Okay. I mean, I was just saying, so we don't have Lewis's input. I mean, I'll take your word for it. It's your call. Continue, don't continue.
Oh,
You want to close the public hearing? It's up to you guys. It sounded like Marion wanted to wait for the actual language. But again, motion, up to you guys.
Yes.
do we, no. Do we need a motion?
To continue or close?
You know what, I'll make a motion to continue so that we can see the actual language.
Okay,
And also, hopefully, well, it's not part of the motion, but hopefully we can hear from economic development.
All right. So I would agree if we're going to continue, it would be to hear from economic development.
okay.
Because that was definitely something that we want to understand, especially with the absence of, specific language saying there's a demand for storage facilities within the POCD. So if it's coming from EDC, I think it gives us certainly a leg to stand on. So let's hold the, I agree, we should hold it open and either get a written or a verbal comment from EDC. So I guess that's a second, Marion.
Okay. Jonathan? Jonathan?
Oh, he's muted.
Yep. How about this? I'm gonna skip him for a second. Stan
Yes, hold it open.
and Marion? Oh wait, you made the motion, I'm sorry. I'm trying to
That's
find
okay.
Jonathan in the list. Kastner. No, he's unmuted. All right. Well, I will vote to continue as well. So I guess we will see you on August 19th.
And please, whoever has access to Pete,
Yep.
see if he's okay.
Send him an email. All right. I thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like next on the public hearing is a special permit application, animal facilities and retail businesses with accessory food service, 112 West Elm Street, applicant K Pickers, and this is continued from June. Is anybody here to speak on this?
Yes, Kim and Allison.
All right. Get your site plan in front of me somehow, some way. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to throw in real quick because I have it, maybe. So I know Marion had asked to see the building.
I got it.
I'm just going to jump through these real quick. So there's a couple of pictures of the new metal building. And there is also there's also Tenaya River.
You want that yellow monster?
approval isn't here.
What do you want? I know, but the
So with
Chinese
that-
mustard.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments or?
No, she
Anything else
didn't
we're
give
looking for?
me that.
Could we get just a narrative explanation of the embellishments to the site plan?
I had sent in a narrative. Did you get that, Tony?
Yep, give me 1 second, I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Spread narrative. There we go. Do you see it?
You typed. I'm impressed. My cheeks all warm. It's not all from the migraine, it's just because I can't cool down. When I back from the heat. Yes, please.
Good, Alan, you may scroll down.
Yes, please. So the gazebos are shown on the site plan, correct? And is that's an addition from the previous site plan that was presented?
The gazebos are not fixed into anything. They are movable. Yeah. They're not a
Okay.
permanent thing.
And that development down there adjacent to the marsh, was that presented before wetlands? You're aware of the development in that area?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So, and the other, just wanted to, I talked to Ron Larson from Wetlands, and this has been approved by Wetlands also.
Okay.
What's the status on the health department?
That
Yep.
approval is in the folder.
So the primary use is actually the Pandemonium, the thrift shop,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And then the
Yes.
secondary use is a place for rehabbing or housing the animals, primarily birds and apparently some reptiles.
Right. Exactly.
And again, as you stated last weekend, that any food is more, it's packaged, it's
Right. It's
juices and
incidental.
bottles and stuff, because
Right.
yeah, restaurants aren't allowed in the zone, so we need to be
Right.
clear.
Exactly. Nor do we have the time. Absolutely.
All right. Anybody have any comments? No. Looking for a motion. Anybody?
So Tony, you're looking for a motion to close the public hearing essentially, right?
Right.
That this is the extent of the information presented and the extent of comment from the public on the application.
Correct.
Okay.
Stan,
So
I'll make that motion.
do we want to solicit any additional comments from the audience or the applicant? Just before we close this out, but
No, you're right. Is there anybody from the audience who wants to speak on behalf or against?
My name is Fred Jordan. I live on West Elm Street.
Yep.
And I think that this is a great thing for the town. We need more things in our town to bring people into town to support our local businesses. And I think this will be a great supplement to what we have. We need to have some creative things to get people excited about Deep River. And I think that this is a very, very good project for the town. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
This is Jennifer Cherry. I'm on Book Hill and Deep River, and I also think that what Allison and him have done with the job and the site is pretty amazing. So I'm happy that it's coming into town.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Gene Robita. I'm prepared the site plan for the project. And how are you guys tonight?
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I just have to say that I think this is a fantastic project. Allison and Kim have devoted so much time to this, and I think it'd be a wonderful addition to the town of Deep River.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right.
well, Tony, given the fact that we've got some good positive response,
I was just gonna give one last
Oh.
thing to Allison or Kim if they have anything they want to add. If not, we'll go forward.
No, we're just very excited and working real hard on the building. So we would love to see this go through, and we're very excited for the town and for the state.
With that said,
I have one quick question. I didn't get Jennifer's last name.
Hi there, it's Shay, SHEA.
Okay, thank you. I think it cut out.
all right, with that, looking for that motion.
Tony, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing for the special permit application for animal facilities and retail business at 112 West Elm Street.
Second,
I will second that, Stan.
thank you, Stan. Jonathan
Aye.
and Marion.
Aye.
All right, moving on. We have the zoning regulation reform as number 3, but it hasn't been noticed, so we're just gonna pretend that's not on there. So moving on to item number 5, audience of citizens. Is there anybody from the audience who wants to talk about something that is not on the agenda? Anybody?
Yeah, this is Fred Jordan on West Elm Street again.
Yep, go ahead.
You know, there was mention tonight of the Economic Development Commission, and it does affect you guys in that I did hear recently that there was a large number of resignations on the EDC. And I think that is going to be a big problem for us. That's confirmed 100%, but that may explain why we haven't heard from them for this other issue that was mentioned earlier.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. Anyone else? All right. Moving on. Approval of minutes, June 17th, 2021. Everybody have a chance to eyeball those?
Yeah, Tony, I have a correction. I just got to find my sheet. Bear with me. Tony, under the presentation by the applicant for the zoning text amendment, it says on the last sentence of the paragraph, they felt that warehousing was not appropriate for the town of Deep River. This was coming from the applicants. I believe they said that they felt warehousing was appropriate for the town of Deep River.
Yes. Okay. Any other corrections? All right. Looking for an approval or a motion to approve with the correction.
Hey, Tony, excuse me.
Yes.
Do you have anything down for 497 Winthrop Road? For change
Is that
from
the-
retail
is
to
that
storage? Yes.
That
Is that on?
That will be. Hold on one second. You're right. That was to accept. All right, let me get through this and I'll get back to that.
Okay, thank you.
I forgot that came in last minute.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, back to the minutes.
Tony, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second them, Stan.
Thanks, Stan. Jonathan?
Yes.
Marion?
Yes.
All right. So, looks like there was an application and all the chaos that ensued. I completely forgot about this. So we will, if you would take a look at this, it looks like it is a change in zoning from a neighborhood commercial to storage and light use for 497B Winthrop Road, Deep River. Applicant Fred Zobel. Okay. And just quickly, you guys are all seeing this. Could you give us a little information on what you're looking for?
Well, I took out a lease with Fred on the place. I was thinking of maybe purchasing the property, but right now he had some vacant space. I was looking for garage space, and he had given me the middle for storage of motorcycles and stuff because I don't have any garages at my house.
Yep.
So I just bring my bikes up there and I store them in there and I tinker with them. And John had said that you got to change it because it's set up as retail for a restaurant and you're not using it as a restaurant any longer. So I then told Fred that he has to change it. And I spoke with John yesterday or the day before, and Fred was supposed to go handle that and put in the application today, I guess.
Yep.
So I guess they want to change from retail to storage and light use.
Okay.
But this is all one building, correct?
Yeah, but it's actually one building, but you have a comic shop, you have an old existing restaurant in the middle, and then you have a pizza place on one side. You have an apartment out back above a garage, like a little antique storage facility under that, and then you have another guys that tinker with cars down under the pizza place. So they're all like kind of subdivided, like.
Quickly, this is Patrick Chase. I'm just making sure I have the names correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right. This existing is neighborhood commercial. Let's see. Basically, you and a piece across the street.
Across the street?
We're in the middle.
Yeah,
No, in the middle.
Just for the zone.
Oh,
It's just those two pieces.
because you have residential there and you have, it's like Flash. And that probably covers the apartment above the garage out in the rear.
Yeah.
And you have retail and you have a restaurant. So John had said that he wanted it changed from retail to just storage.
Gotcha. We get a lot of,
And Fred works second shift, so he asked me to sit in on the Zoom.
yeah. So, I mean, this is just to accept and put it on the agenda. That's all we can basically do at this point. We don't have a whole lot of information at the moment.
Right.
So, general commercial. This is neighborhood commercial, is that right?
Yeah, that little, are you seeing the map I got up there? It's just those two pieces,
Yeah.
which is basically, just out of I have to check with Jonathan about this, but I'm pretty sure that used to be, historically, car sales or something at one point.
Oh, sales back in the day, it was like Valley, I believe the name of it was. It was a motorcycle.
I thought so.
Yep.
Okay. So historically, this was already something that was there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then they changed it over. I don't know if Wade's or one of the owners changed it over to retail, but I guess they used to have people living in it. But when I went in, it was ice cream.
Gotcha.
Like a breakfast.
Yeah. All right.
So over and I just cleaned it up, painted it, and then I store all my bikes and stuff in there. And he's like, yeah, but you're not retailing them? I'm like, no. So he's like, you got to change it.
Okay.
Storage and like light use or personal.
Yeah. So I guess the issue we got to drill down to is whether storage and vehicle storage is a permitted use within this zone, neighborhood commercial.
I think pretty much storage covers a lot with commercial, doesn't it?
You're looking to change from neighborhood commercial to storage and.
Oh, that's what it exists as, neighborhood commercial. Oh, John told me it was retail.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
You're looking
so-
to add storage and light use to the neighborhood commercial. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
yeah,
misunderstood.
yeah, get rid of the retail because we're not selling anything. We're not open to the public. It's just where I store stuff and I tinker in there by myself. Same thing they're doing under the pizza shop. Same thing.
So, hey, Tony, I'm looking for your cheat sheet on allowable uses.
Give me a second, I might be able to find it.
So Tony, just to jump in, he's looking for a change of use for the middle unit, not a zone change or a text
Correct.
change.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
that's what I misunderstood.
Yes.
So if the change of use, we just need to make a determination as to if that use is permitted in that zone. And I'm not as versed in the neighborhood commercial.
So,
If you're on the website, applications, documents, and regulations is where all those.
Yeah.
head there.
And I mean, I have it on the thing, but yeah. And I can put the link in the chat if anybody wants it.
Departments, planning and zoning. More cheat sheets. Oops, wrong one. Okay, what was the zone again? I'm sorry, now that I finally got here.
Neighborhood commercial zone,
That's what.
and the
Neighborhood.
use is storage. And I don't know if it's a nuanced storage.
That's general.
It looks like the use might be, and it's under accessory uses, is the incidental storage of registered RVs, trailer, campers, boats, and vehicles.
Yes.
Oh, but that's, except for that's owned by the occupant. Yeah, owned by the occupant of the premises. But stored in the side or rear yards. And that's not a permitted use in neighborhood commercial, so we got to find it elsewhere.
Village commercial. Let's see.
Tony, I think neighborhood commercial is how we dealt with those places
Yeah.
like the Deep River Market, places that were out of space, out of place in town, and had to be given some name.
Alan is right. If you look at that particular regulation, it's not allowed in the zone. I don't know if there's another use that might be similar.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Family. We may have answered our question earlier tonight when we determined that storage facilities is not a permitted use in the town of Deep River. So we need to find another nuanced nuanced or similar use.
Are we talking about property that is owned and operated by the person who also wants to store his motor vehicles of one kind or another?
Well, yes and no. I lease the middle unit, but I don't retail. So that where the problem had rised from. But he did tell me that at one time somebody lived in there. So I'm like, so it's like, is this residential? And he said, no. If that was the case, I'd move in.
Somebody used to live in one of the parts of the Quality Collectibles too.
Yeah, and then they live above the garage out back. That's why he said they were calling it. That's why they said they were calling it that neighborhood.
I actually think I found a loop. I found so if you look at 410-100, private garages, garden houses, tool houses, playhouses, boat docks, and other small buildings and structures for storage is allowed in that.
Tony, I'm sorry, it was 410 what?
100.
Yeah, but that's not permitted in neighborhood commercial. So we'd be looking to modify our
I had the wrong one
regulations.
highlighted. All right.
I mean, that to me, that sounds like the closest use, Tony.
Yeah. Mixed use buildings. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's, you'd be looking to change 410-100 to, right? I mean, that would have to be a change for that zone.
Yeah, looks like it.
Tony, can the commission add or subtract the zone on its own, or does it, what's the process?
I think we have to go to public hearing,
Yeah, and we do have,
regardless of it's an applicant or the commission.
right, and we have one scheduled for next month, right? More reg changes. Mike? And that,
Yeah, I mean, you'd still have, you'd have to notice it as that, and it would require a hearing, regardless of who was the applicant.
right, but I was just thinking, could we add that to our, the reg changes that are coming? Is there enough time to do that?
Are you proposing to modify our regulations
Yes,
to allow this use
in that zone.
in a postage stamp size commercial district?
We're trying. If it can all happen the way I was thinking. It's up
Do
to you
we
guys
think that
too.
this is, well, okay, there's going to be a lot of discussion on this one.
Okay.
Well, my opinion is, what else can you use it for? It was a restaurant.
For a restaurant or commercial.
Or commercial.
Yeah.
A big word.
Yeah. It's kind of it looks to me, the way it was established is it's a small zone established for retail and commercial for that area of Deep River that doesn't have the proximity to the business district.
Is that the only neighborhood commercial? Worst regulations ever.
The only other thing that I thought of, and it's also a stretch, is 410-104. It's other accessory buildings and uses, which are subordinate, to the main use. But again, that's also not allowed in the neighborhood commercial zone. So,
That will not be hazardous to the public health, safety,
Right.
and welfare.
so it's basically a private garage use.
Right.
Well, that's what they're doing in the basement, private garage use.
Right. So if you were one building away, you're actually allowed to do that in a residential zone. That's why I'm saying it's a hard stretch to not have that use in this actual zone.
Well, the same building in the basement, the guy uses it for personal use on his vehicles in the basement.
Right.
Be a motorcycle shop.
It doesn't mean that he's supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the problem here.
Well, I told John I would try and rectify this and try and figure a way to, take it from retail and put it into something a little bit more manageable, which it would make him happy. Or do I go to the basement?
Well, in order to permit that use, it'll require a regulation change, from what I'm seeing.
So the only thing basically I could do is open a restaurant next to a restaurant.
Well, any sort of retail commercial, right?
So you don't see anything anywhere that might fit the storage of some sort?
Mike, you didn't see a specific use,
Yeah.
did you?
See, part of the issue here is that those types of uses are usually kept separated because a storage has a very different risk associated with it than a retail or restaurant. Storage inherently has flammability issues, and that things like that would have to be addressed by the building official as well, in terms of rated assemblies to separate these uses within the building. I understand the dilemma here and the desire to accommodate mixed uses here, but the part of the issue is that some of these uses are not compatible.
Yeah, probably signed a lease guy, and I did a lot of, cleaning up and cleaned up all the ice cream machines and all the chairs and all the restaurant stuff that was just abandoned there for God knows how long. And I guess I'll have to talk to John, I guess, and see if there's a different avenue to go, because I still have some time left on my lease.
Mm-hmm.
We had some issues back in the day with motor vehicles being worked on underneath when PWs first came in there and opened their first store. And I can't remember how we dealt with that. It's not a zoning issue, but it certainly is a health and a building issue. My suggestion is that maybe the applicant needs to have a chat with Dick Layton and see whether, before we go through the whole application process, for Dick to take a look at it and say, no, you can, or yes, you can if.
Well, I think from a zoning perspective, Jonathan, that you wouldn't get to the building permit because it's not, at this point, it's not permitted under zoning. So the building department does not dictate what zoning is or isn't going to approve.
No, my point is not to have him supersede our regulations. It's just to say, Mr. Layton, would this be acceptable if it were allowable? And if he says, no, you can't have motor vehicles underneath a blah, blah, then we have no issue. If he says it is, then it comes back to us to say, okay, now we'll talk about whether you should.
I see what you're saying. Like, can you have something with gasoline next to a restaurant? Right? That might be an issue health-wise.
Yeah, next to a pizza oven.
Yeah.
Could he sell motorcycles?
He could.
I mean, that would be allowed, correct?
Right. Yeah. If you just
Maybe that's the avenue.
You could just sell one.
Yeah, put a big price tag on it. Set it out there.
Yeah,
Have you got any BSA tramps or Jawas by any chance?
That would be grandfathered, right? Because it was Valley Cycles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you had a retail application, it doesn't have to be viable or profitable.
Right.
But
Don't make a
if-
profit. That one's, I like your advice.
Well, like
It's,
you said, sell them for a certain price.
Again, I mean, I think that that's what would be permissible in there. If you were, storing the bikes in there as part of a retail operation that you potentially had these for sale, that would fit, I believe, the allowable uses within that zone.
So we'll have to redo the application then?
Correct.
Okay.
So you'll be selling 1 or 2 bikes, maybe.
Yes.
Hopefully not for a loss.
No. I have 5 right now,
All right.
and they're all for sale for a certain price.
There you go.
But anyway, okay, so what I'll do is I'll just put that in for the next meeting, I guess. Change the application. Now my fee, I can use the same fee, or is that the money that I had Fred pay today?
You got to talk to John and Mike about that.
Yeah.
I would imagine that really this is just a modification of the application that's submitted.
So, Patrick, I think in that regard, you would still want to potentially talk to Dick Layton, because then you have a permitted use, but there may be some requirements for use separation between a restaurant and a retail operation that would, potentially house flammable materials, et cetera. So just do a little due diligence, and you may have an avenue forward.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get a hold of Dick tomorrow and see what his input is on it.
All righty.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Good night.
All right.
Take care.
So, I guess I have a question. Is the modification of application, whatever he's modifying it to, does that require a public hearing? And if so, should we accept the application tonight or just wait till the next meeting?
It sounds like he's keeping it as a retail, and it's a use that's permitted as of right in neighborhood commercials. So it sounds to me like it's administrative.
Okay, good.
Mike, do you concur?
Yeah, so I think that as long as that's the way it goes, then we don't need to schedule anything. But if something changes, we can certainly keep everything, to move forward with an application.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. I still think we need to be careful with this one and make sure that we're reading our allowable uses correctly.
All righty. New business. We've jumped all over the place. Site plan application, rear lot, 6 Westbrook Road, applicant Doan Engineering for George C. Field Company. Is there someone here to explain?
Yes, there is.
Hey, Bob. Fire away.
Well, I'll keep the screen up. If I could share a screen, I'd use my cursor, but I don't think I have to yet. If questions come up, I may have to share a screen. But in any event, the George C. Field Company owns about 10 acres on the corner of Westbrook Road and Winthrop Road, and it's known as 6 Westbrook Road. There are 2 parcels. There's lot number 21A, which the current configuration of 21A, it is a 1 foot wide strip that wraps around, if you could scroll up a little bit, down in the left-hand corner of the drawing.
The left-hand corner, huh?
Left-hand, lower left-hand. So the Glen Grove Road.
Yep.
there's a 1-foot strip that wraps around that Glen Grove Road, and that was established when the Glen Grove Road subdivision was done. It was established as a spite strip so that the property, the subject property, could not gain access to Glen Grove Road. So in any event,
Is that really a term, a spite strip?
yeah, well, that's what we called it, and then regulations changed to prevent that. The George C. Field Company purchased that 1-foot strip, and we're modifying that lot, which is lot number 21A, and we're making a rear lot, which is a 2.96 acre lot, and that's why we are here tonight, is because it's a rear lot, and a rear lot has to be created by a special permit. And together with this, on this plan, we are doing a free split of 6 Westbrook Road. We're dividing it into parcel A and parcel B, and that is a free split. The George C. Field Company is also conveying some land to the town for the firehouse, and that's also shown on this property. So the plan is entitled Parcel Allocation Plan. It is not a subdivision, and we're creating parcel A and B, and we're reconfiguring lot number 21A. Each of these properties has sufficient net buildable area. I've excluded the wetlands in the calculation, and we have a 75% type soil, and we exceed the 50,000 square feet required. It has been reviewed by the health district. There were a couple of minor changes that Ryan wanted us to make, and they have been made and submitted to Ryan. We haven't received his response yet, but the 3 things were that he wanted us to label the reserve area that we show. We had an extra test hole shown. We had 2 number 9s shown, and so we took off the appropriate number 9. And he wanted us to add a note that there's no public water within 250 feet of the site, and that allows us to have the wells that we show. So those changes have been made. And so we are essentially before you tonight to get approval to have lot 21A configured as shown on this plan. Excuse me, a 15-foot access strip is required for a rear lot. We have a 25-foot access strip. The driveway that's in that access strip is well under 12%. So the site has favorable soils for sanitary system, and we've shown a hypothetical house and sanitary system, a well, and a driveway for the lot. Once the lot is to be developed, we will have a site plan submitted to the town and to CRAD for specific review. And that's my story.
Quickly, did this, I know it looks like you're outside the 100, but do you have wetlands sign off on this?
I did not take it to wetlands because we have no regulated activity.
Okay.
And it's not a, since it's not a subdivision, we did not have to refer it to wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, if you have Mark eyeball it.
Sure.
I didn't mean go to wetlands, just have Mark look at it since he's.
Yeah, that's no problem. I can do that.
Thank you. That's only permitted.
Bob, I have one question, and it may be completely irrelevant, but you've made the note on here. It looks like you've altered other property lines per agreement. Or is that an existing condition, or is that part of the change of these property bounds? That's to the, I guess, the north edge, or south side of the sheet there.
Yeah, that's a existing condition. That was just part of the boundary survey.
Okay.
I don't see. I mean, the only other thing I was going to ask is the driveway looks like it's less than 12%. That was the only other. Oops. The other thing I was going to ask, but that looks like less than 12. So.
It is.
Seems all right to me. Anybody else? All right.
This all looked pretty comprehensive and complete to me. I'm not used to seeing that.
looking for a motion. Done.
I'll motion the approval, Stan.
Thanks, Stan. Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
All right, Jonathan
Aye.
and Marion.
Yes.
Looks like you got that one through. On to the next one. Bob, you just don't want to leave our commission, huh? Preliminary discussion, 3-lot subdivision, Witch Hazel Drive, applicant Doan Engineering.
I haven't seen you guys in ages, and I have 2 before you tonight.
I know.
This is at the end of Witch Hazel Drive.
Yep.
This is on land of Scott Papusha. And what we would like to do is create 3 lots, roughly 2 acres in size, and lot 3 is a little bit bigger. And we would extend the cul-de-sac of Witch Hazel Drive to be a circular cul-de-sac instead of the hammerhead cul-de-sac that is there now. The cul-de-sac would actually function better, if you will, better than the existing cul-de-sac. When we did the Witch Hazel subdivision, there was a concern about the length of the dead-end street for Witch Hazel Drive, and there were connections made. One was Everett Lane, and it's yeah, you can see it right. There's actually an emergency access that goes from the cul-de-sac of Everett Lane to Stevenstown Road, and it's a paved access. And I don't recall if the gate, I think it's gated, but I'm not sure if it's closed all the
I was
time.
going to say, there's a chain, but it's mostly not closed.
Yeah, I think it's used as a shortcut.
Yeah.
But in any event, that was put in to address the length of a dead-end street.
I guess I have one quick question that I didn't see on here. Was the closest fire tank? You have to have
Excuse me.
2,000 feet or something like that?
Yeah, the closest water source is the pond on the corner of Witch Hazel Drive. And we would
You're
anticipate,
mistaken there, Bob.
I'm
Is there-
sorry, what, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but is there no pond down at the intersection with Everett?
No, there isn't. I don't believe so. Was there a tank put in there?
That is my recollection.
I'll check on that.
Yeah, because that's one of the requirements. You have 3 lots. You need
Correct. Yep.
within 2,000 feet.
We were going to, actually, the Essex Fire Department was given a donation of a 20,000 gallon tank that they want to get rid of.
Oh, it's terrible.
So we volunteered to take it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But nowadays, they require a 30,000 gallon tank as a reservoir. I think an insurance requires that.
Gotcha.
But we would just, if we could get that 20,000, if we need to put one in, Jonathan, I'll check at Everett Lane. But if we need to put one in, we would just couple that with a 10,000 gallon tank.
Okay.
And have a 30,000 gallon reservoir.
And I mean, it all looks reasonable to me. Anybody have any questions? You're just looking for input, right? I mean,
Yep.
this is preliminary.
Would a wonderful solution to this would be if you could just keep going past those 3 new lots and come out on
Right?
Stevenstown Road.
I'll mention that to the Papuchas. But it's the lot number 1 is Sean Papusha wants to build a house and to if this looks reasonable, one thing that I was going to do to expedite the ability for him to start on his house, I was going to do a free split and then follow through with the subdivision.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't configuring a lot that was going to preclude future use of the property.
So essentially, it looks like lot 3 will be a flag lot with the, what's touching the road is just the width of the driveway itself. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. And we're going to make sure that we have room for a 50-foot extension and the ability to go back onto lots 1, 2, and 3 and allow for an extension of a roadway when we do swing around and connect to Stevenstown.
Oh, so you are taking Jonathan.
Yes.
All right. That sounds good.
One step at a time.
Anybody have anything to add?
I have nothing, Tony.
Jonathan, Marion, Dan?
No, I have nothing.
All right.
No,
That looks pretty reasonable to me.
Okay, I haven't done a subdivision in years.
Now you got 2,
It's a new thing now.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Well, thank you very much for your input. I appreciate it.
thanks. You have a good night.
Excellent.
Good night.
All right, moving on. Demolition delay ordinance review. So we'd asked about this a while ago, kicked it over to the selectmen. It looks like they put it back in our lap. I it looks like the only correction that's gonna be on here is planning and zoning for any district. Or
It's to
structure.
reference any village district versus the, because there's more than one.
Gotcha. Any village district, okay. Or structure within 300 feet of the Middlesex Turnpike, Elm Street, or Connecticut River. Okay. I mean, this is, what exactly did they change? They just moved it from because we had the town and they moved it to the village district and structures, blah, blah, blah. I think that's the only change that's on here.
Do you mean proposed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a John tweak, and he just wants to swap out the and put any.
Okay.
So if you guys are comfortable that everything else looks good, then it'll go back to Jane to make the final modification, and it'll go back for I guess the final, I assume, town meeting, all that.
Okay. I mean, I got nothing I want to change. Anybody else?
I think it looks good.
All right.
Was, just to refresh my memory, when the language was put together as to why we limited it to village districts as opposed to any district. I'm just curious as to why we stipulated village district, or any, I should say, village
It's
district.
kind of hard to hear you, Alan, but I think just because the nature of like, I hate to pick on Winthrop, but the historic houses in Winthrop, I mean, I can think of two.
Yeah, so it basically is applying to all of town for 1 and 2, and then any village district, regardless of if the structure is 1972 or 1969. So the way I read it, it creates those 2 categories, and then it expands it to everything if it's in a village district, because when we talked originally, we wanted to be able to think more carefully about those village districts, even if the structure wasn't old.
Okay, so it could be, in regardless of size, it could be a auxiliary building, a shed on a property within the village district. Or, so there's a lot more discretion, I guess is why we have that language.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
I like it.
Okay. Looking for motion to approve with the pen mark.
Whose hand is it? Is that John's hand?
Yep.
I'll make the motion to approve as edited.
Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Second.
Stan.
Oh,
I don't. You're gonna have to fight that one out. I don't know who got that one.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Right. Stan, you've gotten a bunch of them, so I'm gonna give that one to Mary.
Yeah, go into Mary.
All right. Stan, how do you vote?
Aye, good.
All right. Jonathan? Oh, he's off, so I will vote in favor of it. Let's see. I motion to the old business. Zoning text amendment. We bumped that. And special permit application, animal facilities and retail business with accessory food services, 112 West Elm Street, applicant K.A. Pickers. I mean, I'm good with all the changes. They came through with everything. I got nothing to add. Anybody else? If not, we need a motion to approve, or how are you guys want to act on this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second it, I guess. Stan?
Thanks. Jonathan, I didn't even see him on here. I think he dropped off. Alan?
Aye.
And I will vote in favor. So motion passed. Zoning regulation reforming, that's gone. Commission bylaws. I heard those were all edited and ready to go.
Aye.
Let's see. I had them somewhere. I guess not. Anyway, they've been floating around. We waited for the corrections. I believe they were all set somewhere in here.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you guys have anything you want to add or motion to adopt, I guess that's how that's gonna go.
I would make the motion to adopt. I think we've
All right,
been through these enough, and I think it's going to be very handy to have them on hand.
right, and we can always amend on the fly if we find out something's wrong. Looking for a second.
Second.
I'll second.
Oops.
Oh, Jonathan, were you just gonna second that?
Yes, please.
Okay, I was gonna
Okay.
say, that's his first one tonight, so. Stan
Yes.
and Marion, I'm assuming.
Yes.
All right, we have bylaws finally. Plan of conservation development. Don't know where we're at with this. I've been so busy, I haven't actually taken a look at it.
So I talked with John, and so the surveys went out to the other commissions. I think that he said 1 or 2 responded, so he's got to do some follow-up to try to get some additional feedback. So that's kind of the current status, trying to garner more comments.
Okay. Good to know. Reports, zoning enforcement officer.
So a couple of things, various things, obviously, since the last meeting, following all the legislation related to what's going on with planning and zoning, there's been a fair amount of time spent teeing up all the various applications and making sure everything fits and the details with that. Obviously, the town is still working through the STEEP grant. So they've reviewed the bids for and selected, at least preliminarily, a GIS contractor to move forward with digitizing the town's tax maps, and then creating a parcel layer and all the various things that go along with a web-based GIS. So that will be underway very soon. Because Deep River has hand-drawn tax maps, took a little while for the vendors to actually get some bids together, because we had to estimate the number of changes which have been done by hand. I think we were looking at going back with the assessor, and since the last informal parcel layer was done by the COG, about 130 parcel changes have been made, which when it's done by hand is quite a process. So that took some time. They've been working on hiring for the new admin for Peggy, and John's had more to do with it, but it appears there's a couple of very promising and viable candidates. They are both interested in full-time. So we're working with Chester, who also has the same position open, to try to get a partnership together so that rather than the town's paying for 2 part-time positions, there can be 1 full-time position, particularly because John and myself and Dick Layton are in both towns. Sort of would be a team approach to land use and would provide more accessibility if everybody was available on a full-time basis. So that's kind of been the meat of what we've been working on.
All right, I'm gonna ask a question about the GIS quickly. So going forward, if we do have a GIS, is there something we should get from people who come in with applications, do lot line changes and all that stuff? Is there something we should add to our regulations to say, hey, look, when you do this and it's approved, we want X from you? I mean,
so, in other towns, what I do is just require that we get a PDF of the final plan set. Each vendor has a different process for how they modify and track map changes. Generally speaking, what happens is at the end of each year, the assessor provides a copy of all map changes as they're filed in the clerk's office via map or deed to them, and they sort of heads up digitize what's going on. If I have, we have a big subdivision, for example, or a complicated lot line adjustment or something, I will typically just ask that I get some type of line work from the engineer, which I haven't had any trouble getting. And the other thing that I generally push for is to get the line work for any wetland delineations so that that can be put on the plan. And I haven't had any problems with getting that from engineers.
Okay. Easy enough. Yeah, all right, moving on. That's all you got. Moving on to attorney, which I didn't.
Yeah, well, I guess the only other thing that I'll say is one of the things that we're working on that seems to present well, and so we can pull together, is essentially a comparison table of the legislative changes. So it's 3 columns. One column lists what it is, for example, accessory dwelling units, which we know now have to be done as of right. So the middle column states whether or not we're in compliance. And the right column basically says what our recommendation is for the commission to move forward with achieving whatever's required. So we're going to try to pull that together so that it's sort of a digestible format. There will be some additional trainings offered for municipal staff. I'm working on it now with Casio for the cannabis marijuana sales. We're trying to get that at the end of July, so we'll have hopefully more to report in August on how to deal with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Attorney, I didn't see anything. I don't know if you have anything.
No, I mean, he finalized the bylaws, no bills, no nothing.
All right, engineer, nothing. Regs committee, nothing. Chairman, got nothing. Anything on the budget? Okay. Payment of bills, nobody saw any. That's good.
No bills.
Looking for a motion to adjourn. Nobody wants to leave, huh?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Marion. Looking for a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Stan. Alan, you want to get out of here?
Sure.
All right, Jonathan?
Yes, sir.
All right, you guys all have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
See you guys. Oh,
Take care.
before you hang up, next month, next Thursday, we have the joint planning and zoning inland wetlands EDC meeting. So I'll send you all an agenda. I just didn't want to forget.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye. Oh, where do I leave here? Oh.